step to your left?
Who's that? All of us?
Curly, can you guys take a step to your left? Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2 1 2.
How close?
As I understand it, your families are going to start. Good. Do I take this?
No. Ignore me. Sorry.
But as I understand, your families are going to start strolling into this area as early as tonight. And we'll start linking up with the families too, and they'll be staying on post for our chat. When Marvel Moreno gets off the plane, we're hoping to just push over there and take a picture in front of that big American flag. But guys, it does my heart good to see that you guys are back here on American soil. It's going to be an interesting transition for you, but at least you'll be here in the loving embrace of your country and your families. Welcome home. Texas too, right? All right, guys, I think Mike Roccio's behind me somewhere. Mike, are you hiding?
They're going to bring Marvel out, so we
Okay.
can join the photo. If we can
Okay,
just wait a few
let's do it.
minutes.
Yeah, we'll wait. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just wait.
Just chill for a few minutes.
We'll get Marvel out and we'll get a half piece and half, and then we'll turn you over to the army. Okay? All right.
We'll get a couple photos here after he comes off, and then we'll get moving. All right? Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, glad to see you back. It's an amazing day.
I was telling Savoy when Brittany Griner came here, she reconnected with the family for about 20 or 30 minutes. And then she came back out here and said, I want to get photos. And so she stood in front of the American flag and cycled people through to just get pictures of her. You know, it's the same thing you said. It's emotional. She's back. That flag's right there.
How big is that flag?
Say again?
How big is it?
I think it's about 100,000 feet long and 70. It's huge. What is that? It's got to be
I
at
think
least.
it's about 80 by 40.
It's amazing. I want to get that for my room.
I think the next thing she did after that was go dunk on somebody.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Thanks for my advance. Ambassador,
Right.
anybody want to say a few words at some point?
I could probably do that. I could probably do that.
Just your thoughts on this arrival and what it means.
Sure. When people come home, it's one of the most important things our nation does. You'll often hear the Secretary of State and the President say that the most important thing we do in the United States government is protect the safety and security of our citizens, especially when they're overseas and especially when they're taken either hostage or they're wrongfully detained by another country. President Biden's made this a huge part of his administration's efforts. To date, he's brought home 45 wrongful detainees and hostages during his tenure. And I can tell you that we might be the face of this or the representation, but there are literally thousands of people that throw themselves into this. People from the White House, the CIA, the Department of Defense, Department of Justice. I would say even NGOs. Mickey Bergman of the Richardson Foundation put a lot of effort into this. Governor Richardson, before he passed, put effort into this. Eric Lebson, Hostage US, the Foley Foundation, congressmen and senators. It's this big team of people that are giving these people a loving embrace and doing all the hard work to bring them home. But at the end of the day, the president has to make a hard decision, and he has to weigh different considerations to finally get someone home. And the president did that to bring these men home, and they're all the better for it. As of today, 10 more Americans are back, 6 of them wrongful detainees in Joint Base San Antonio. where they're in the loving embrace of the military as they provide post-isolation support activities.
Are there any more Americans left in Venezuela that need to be?
Nope. We left with everyone right now. There are no more Americans left in Venezuela that are being held in the prison facilities.
And can you tell us about the negotiations to get these men released, what that was like, and what was the turning point in making this happen?
I'd say that's something I might want to leave for a later date, but I will say that the negotiations, they're always hard fought. They're never easy. The other side never asks for something that's super easy to give. And so, as I told these guys, I've seen some of these guys for over 2 years. I went to Caracas, and I had a chance to see Evan Hernandez, for example, a few times. And that's how long it takes. Sometimes it takes a year or two to get the negotiations right to where both sides are able to narrow the gaps of what they want and what they're able to give. So I wouldn't want to get into the details at this point. I can say they're hard fought, they're tough, they're emotional, they're draining, but we can't let up. It's our duties to keep pursuing it. And at the end of the day, our job is to present a course of action that the President of the United States can execute. And here we are as of today. A lot of hard work went into this with the White House. Juan Gonzalez at the White House, Brian Nichols and his team at the Department of State. They've been working this very hard behind the scenes for quite some time now.
How were they treated, and what can you tell us about their conditions and as they arrive here today?
You know, I have some thoughts on that, but I wouldn't want to take away from the agency of these fine gentlemen. They'll have to tell you that story. I wouldn't want to put words in their mouth. But I can say that we're always concerned when someone's overseas. I think when you're in prison, no matter where it is, it's going to be a tough experience. It's probably worse when you don't have a chance to talk to your families. You're isolated. You may not have the health care that you might be used to. So while I'd rather let them describe the conditions of their imprisonment, what I can tell you is they're about to get into some fantastic care in a program that the military has been basing off of bringing soldiers back in, and yet they've tailored it to bringing wrongful detainees home as well. They're about to go through a really good program, thanks courtesy of the Department of Defense.
Are you comfortable with what the U.S. gave up in this situation to get these men back home?
I'd say I wouldn't want to comment too much. I mean, the president ultimately makes these decisions. What I can tell you is this. If you don't make a hard decision like this, you're basically writing these guys off. Because the other side never asks for something easy. They're not asking you to, for example, the next post office that you name in Montana, please name it the Stalin, post office. It's never something easy. It's always something excruciatingly difficult. And when the president makes that decision, he usually does so at some cost. I think from where I am, having worked this job for about 4 years now, what I can tell you is I'm grateful that they're home, and people don't come home unless you're willing to make these hard decisions. If you don't, you basically are going to have to accept the fact that they're going to remain in prison, and you're going to have the strength to tell the families that.
Real quick, the mood on the plane on the flight back, did these men know each other before this flight? Did they know they were all in prison in Venezuela at the same time?
They all did. They all had some connectivity. There's one person that's still on the plane who we don't have a Privacy Act waiver for, but he's kind of a new addition. He wasn't able to really have that connection. But these guys pretty much all know each other. When we went to Caracas, we would get a chance to meet them individually, but they also had a connection together. And I would even say when I wanted to talk to one, sometimes Evan Hernandez would come in and help that person articulate their case, because Evan's a public offender and was often really good at summing up what that person was going through. So they knew each other and bonded well over there.
And what were the reasons that the Venezuelans held them for as long as they did? What kind of charges were they facing?
Our belief is that most of the charges were either overloaded or spurious. At times they weren't able to complete the trial process. They wouldn't be wrongfully detained if we didn't feel that there was some component that the U.S. government was not comfortable with. A lot of them related to either espionage charges, and so there are things that we can say, like, clearly this person's not a spy, or clearly they weren't trying to destroy your country. And so when that presents itself to the Secretary of State, he's more inclined to say that they're wrongful. So they wouldn't be here right now in San Antonio if we didn't feel that there was a wrongfulness to their detention.
Do you think they would want to make any comments?
Let me ask, because I think it's one thing that the people of San Antonio, they're really big on. You don't want to initially just throw that bucket of cold water with an interview on someone. And on the plane on the way back, you asked about the mood. The mood was a gentle excitement. When we landed, people applauding, but overall just that thoughtfulness that goes into wow, I've been in prison for 4 years. And when I woke up today, I thought I was going to have another day in prison. Instead, someone tapped me on the shoulder and told me to go to the airport and get on a plane.
When did these guys find out they were coming home?
I would say this morning. Then there were obviously the rumors that things might be happening, but I think it wasn't real until someone came to their cell this morning and said, "You follow me."
And you picked them up in Venezuela?
We went to an undisclosed island in the Caribbean, just a general meeting spot where we met the other side. And
so the Venezuelans brought them there?
Yes, indeed. Yep.
Quite a day.
It's a good one. It's nice to have this wrapped up. It's a pleasure. But you know, we're going to go right back at it tomorrow because, in fact, even tonight, even though they're back, we have other Americans that are still held wrongfully or they're hostages, to include those that are in Gaza. So even though we can celebrate their return, the president's not willing to sit on the side while we still have Americans overseas. We have to keep pursuing that.
Is there any news on Paul Whelan you can share?
Nothing I probably want to share right now. He's had a chance to call us recently. I mean, obviously he's frustrated. I think we're all frustrated. You know, we want to find a way to break this impasse and bring him home.
When was the last time you spoke with him?
Oh, my goodness. I think for me it's been like 3 or 4 weeks, but Fletcher Schoen, my case officer, I think spoke to him just a few days ago. I saw I missed a call from him when I was in transit in the air just today, or maybe yesterday. But time's kind of blurring out. I think it was today. So he has a chance to call every now and then, but he tries to call either me or one of my guys once a week.
You're hopeful that there will be a
always hopeful. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I know you are.
Looks like Edgar's on his way. That's here. We'll wait for the photo.
What you should do is, the reason we don't, they're free. Doesn't usually happen.
Hey guys.
Sucking in my stomach. I can't do this much longer.
Is Jen here? Marcus?
Yeah, she's here. Okay. Sure. Okay.
Yeah. You guys are good? Thank you.
Okay.
So, guys, we're now going to turn you over to the London place of the Department of Defense and the visa program. I'd like to introduce Mike Mochio, who does an incredible program this young boy did. Sir. Actually, going to bring Yes. Would you like to talk to us?
Sure.
You sure?
Yes. Can you see me okay with it? Lighting okay?
So we're we're sharing this with all of the networks, and so this will go out everywhere.
Okay.
Give me your name and spell it for me so everybody has it.
Yes, Savoy Wright, SAVOI WRIGHT.
I'll let you take it. You tell me what's going through your mind at this moment.
Free at last, thank God Almighty, free at last. Very emotional, exciting, grateful. So much gratitude for the moment, for the United States of America, for all of you, and for the opportunity to come home so soon. So many people abroad are being held captive. So many innocent people. The majority of people are innocent, and you know, just I really got the opportunity to experience it through trial and triumph, and to be able to come back home in a very fast manner. Many people have been over incarcerated for 20 months, for years, and it's quite an experience. But to come back into Texas, into the United States of America, and to see all of you, such warm faces, so much love, I'm very grateful, very appreciative for the moment.
Are you okay sharing what you've been through the last few months?
Yeah. Long story short, there'll be more and probably some more material coming out, social media and other things I will provide. But yeah, essentially incarcerated, held in Venezuela, kidnapping, extortion, detained and in jail, wrongfully so, and brought back by the United States government. So pretty powerful.
As you were detained, did you think you were going to see this day anytime soon?
I didn't know if I would ever make it out. And it's really scary to be in a place where you're used to having freedoms and you're locked into a cell, sometimes with 4 other people, a very tiny cell, and to realize, am I ever going to get out of this? Am I ever going to make it home? How did I get to this point? It's a very challenging situation.
What do your family wasn't able to make it here in time?
They're on their way.
They're on their way.
Yeah.
Have you been able to talk to them?
Yeah. FaceTime on the plane. So yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience.
What did you tell them, and what was the mood like on the plane?
I just FaceTimed them and I said I'm on the way home back to the U.S. and I love you, and we cried. We shared a moment, and looking forward to see you soon. I can't wait to see you and hug you.
Do you mind if I ask you, were you treated okay while you were in custody in Venezuela? Physically, you're fine?
Yeah, there is some places where I was held where I was worried for my safety. I definitely had to go to a spiritual place, ask for guidance, and navigate that time. And other times I was taken care of very well. Being vegan or having certain food restrictions actually were prepared meals for me. Very challenging times, but there were angels I had along the way that made the process a little bit easier.
Were you ever told why you were being held?
Yeah, it came out on Twitter and social media. It was published also in the Venezuelan paper. It's pretty much a clown show. They will create any of the worst things to put out there, so they can detain people that are innocent, and then use some of that to leverage for their benefit or just to hold people for a long time.
What brought you to Venezuela to begin with?
That's a long story. It might come out maybe possibly in a book or written information, but yeah, a lot of people who weren't even in Venezuela but possibly close to the border have ended up in prison as well, wrongfully so. They might ask a question with their passport and they get snatched up.
And when did you find out you were being released today?
Intuitively, I kind of felt it the last couple of days. It's something I've been praying for, but we didn't know until we left the cell, we left the prison, and they put us in a car on the way to the airport.
And you were flown to that island?
Yeah, we were flown to an island where we had to wait about 5-6 hours. Plane was out of gas. There was no AC, sweating, and from what I was told, negotiations were still being made at that point. Up until then.
So you could have been flown right back.
It crossed my mind. That fear did cross my mind.
What kind of bond do you have with these other men who were released here tonight?
We made a special bond together. Not only being American, being able to do the same experience. We didn't get to speak too much when we were, being held. But from time today on the plane and from here moving forward, we're definitely going to stay in contact and develop our bonds even more.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Avon, nice to meet you.
Avon, good to see you. My name's Ed Lamanette. I'm with CNN. And, we're a pool, so this is going out to all the television networks in the U.S. So it's not just for. I want to be sensitive to where you are. So, okay. Yeah, show me that. Just feel free to slap me wherever you need.
I appreciate that. Sure.
I'll just let you take it. You tell me what's going through your mind in this moment.
Well, I'm incredibly grateful. I'm sorry, I can't even speak. I'm incredibly grateful to be home. I'm incredibly grateful to my family, to my friends, to President Biden for getting me home, for getting all of us home. And honestly, all you think about when you're in prison is how you didn't appreciate being free while you were free. There's no way to understand what it's like to be in prison unjustly and not have any way out. And so it's been a long time coming. It was probably the most difficult thing I've ever been through. It was a struggle every day. But I had incredible support from family and friends. I felt a lot of love while I was in prison. And everything that they did for me is an example for me to follow for the rest of my life. And once again, I want to thank President Biden because I know he made a difficult decision that will have a lot of pressure on him on Capitol Hill, but he got us home and we're with our families, and so we're incredibly grateful, all of us.
What was your experience like being in Venezuela?
It was maddening. It was maddening. But, you know, and I say that at the same time, I want there to be good relationships between the United States government and Venezuela, because this will only end if there are good relations. And so even though I didn't like the treatment, it was horrible, it was difficult to survive, the only way for this to end is through diplomatic relations, respectful relations, and both countries coming together and finding a way to resolve their differences.
How long were you in custody for?
20 months and 20 days.
20 months. You know it exactly?
Yes, 630 days. Yes.
When you were arrested, taken into custody, what were you told? Could you believe that it was happening?
I was told that I was a spy, that I was there to commit espionage. I was charged with terrorism, conspiracy to commit terrorism, and the other charge I don't know how to translate, but it has to do with an association to commit some type of crime with other people.
So when you heard the Venezuelans say that to you, what goes through your mind?
Well, I knew that they were lying because it wasn't true. It wasn't true. They were just making things up in order to justify them detaining me. And so in order for them to put me in their maximum security prison, they had to lie. And it wasn't really a prison. It's a makeshift. They made cells in the garage of their CIA headquarters. And so they made 14 or 17 concrete cells there in the garage. It's not a prison. They assign it to their Department of Prisons, but it's not a prison. And so they keep you there in inhumane conditions, and they make your life a living hell. But the only way that that can end is through both sides saying, you know what, everyone has done something wrong in this. Let's make it right. Let's all get together and make sure that both countries have peaceful diplomatic, economic relations, and let's make this go. We got to stop the suffering there, because the Venezuelans have it worse.
When you say that they made your life a living hell, are you talking about physical mistreatment? Or?
Psychological mistreatment.
What would they do?
If you find peace there, they do everything in their power for you to lose that peace and to try to make you go crazy. They have a lot of psychological tactics that will make you, lose your temper for the smallest little things, because they're trying to make you snap. But once again, the most important thing is for peaceful economic relations. I don't want anything to be done against them in my name. I don't. I want peaceful economic relations, peaceful diplomatic relations, peaceful relations between the both countries that are respectful I want Venezuelans, people from this country to go to Venezuela and them to come here and visit. You know, no one can get anything out of this through anger, through hatred. If I were to come out of here filled with hate, I would have completely failed the major test of my life. And so I refuse to do that. And I see the people that I left there as family. They took care of me. They loved me. They did everything to make me survive. And I owe them everything. While at the same time that my family and friends here were doing everything to help me, I developed a family over there that helped me survive. And I can never forget that, and I can never do everything that I could possibly do for them in order to make their country better.
When you got the news that you were coming home today, could you believe it?
I still don't believe it. I still don't believe it. I'm waiting to see my family and friends and try not to cry too much. Yeah.
And then, do you worry about what it's like, what it's going to be like for you in the coming weeks and months of reacclimating? You've been gone for almost 2 years.
Yeah, that's crossed my mind. I definitely want to take the process slowly. I'm going to be doing therapy. I have to do it. It's the best thing for me. And I'm going to take as much time as I need to in order to make sure that I'm okay.
Have you been able to talk to your family yet?
My brother, not my dad. I think my dad's on his way. Hopefully I'll see him soon.
Very good.
Yeah.
Appreciate it so much. Good luck to you, brother. Thank you.